We need to, at a certain point, say, I'm going to stand up and say, this is not allowed. Because when people are silent, you're telling those in power, you can keep doing what you're doing. I'm not going to say anything about it.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Let's bring on our guest, Salam Lobad, president of the Young Palestinians of Huntsville and also a member of IFPTE, Local 27, the Marshall Engineers and Scientists Association. The Young Palestinians of Huntsville have a couple of events coming up that we want to talk to him about. Salam, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Really excited to talk to you. Before we talk about the events that you have planned, can you talk about the Young Palestinians of Huntsville? What is the group and kind of what's the goal of the group?
Absolutely. So we are a grassroots group of young Palestinians and allies here in Huntsville. And our goal is to educate, mobilize, and organize the local community to act in solidarity with Palestinians, especially those in Gaza who are facing a genocide right now. And we remind people that what's happening overseas is tied directly to U.S. policy and to our taxpayer dollars.
Mm-hmm. And so I want to actually stay there for just a second. Can you, because when I talk to people about this issue, you know, one of the very, very common things that I hear is this is not a labor issue. This is not, you know, this isn't an issue that directly impacts me every day. What is the case that actually this is an issue that affects people here, you know, that people in Huntsville should be concerned with?
Yeah, I think everyone should be concerned. There's the humanity aspect. Every time we open social media, a lot of us see the bodies of dead children being massacred in Israel by Israel every day. Israel indiscriminately bombs the Gaza Strip, killing men, women, children. Majority of the people in Gaza right now are children. When we see those images and videos, we should be angry. But when we remember that all of it is being done with our hard-earned money, taken away in taxes to give to Israel, every one of us should feel enraged. While all this is going on, 26 million Americans don't have health insurance. And yet, cumulatively, the United States has given Israel over $228 billion, over $28 billion of which have been since the start of the genocide on October 7th. That money could have solved so many problems. But instead of building infrastructure, building hospitals, providing healthcare, ending homelessness, that money was used to fund atrocities on the other side of the world. And Americans should be outraged. This means that we all have a responsibility to speak up when our country is complicit in the genocide by funding and supporting it.
That's always been, you know, my when people tell me that that's not a labor issue, and there are people that tell me this that are in good faith. I want to make sure that I say that that say that you know, I agree with, you know, the Palestinian cause and I oppose the genocide, but and I, you know, do things as an individual personally, but I don't want my unions involved with it. You know, I think that's kind of out of their purview. But my response to that has always been, you know, this is a situation where we are taking the tax dollars, the public money of working people in the United States to fund the conscription of working people in Israel to go and kill working people in Palestine. And so if that is not an issue that the organized bodies of the working class can have a say about, can have a voice in, then it's kind of difficult to me for me to imagine what sorts of issues we can have a say in, right? I mean, like at every point in this graph, working people are involved, and the working people of America are, you know, our money is involved in it, and in many cases we're directly involved in it. We have, some of us have relatives over there. Some of us have had relatives who have been victims of this. Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. I think that, you know, unions and the federations and the organizations of working people have a real role to play, and we have historically. You know, I mean, I am heartened by what has at times been a minority view within the labor movement, but still very present, against war and for peace. I'm thinking of Tony Mazzocchi of the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers Union. I'm thinking of Walter Reuther of the United Auto Workers Union. I'm thinking of William Winpesinger of the Machinists Union, who opposed the war in Vietnam with real moral clarity. And we're seeing lots of people in the American labor movement today do the same thing. So the Young Palestinians of Huntsville, they have a protest planned on October the 5th. Sunday, October the 5th. Can you talk to us about that event, what folks can expect if they go to that, and some of the other events around that in the week following and the week after?
Yeah, so the protest, Sunday, October 5th, is a part of a big week of action that we're happening in response to this October being the 2-year mark of the genocide in the Gaza Strip. So on October 5th, we're having our protest, 3 p.m., Big Spring Park. We're going to begin, if you haven't, for anyone who hasn't been to our rallies, it's usually the same typical format. We have a rally in Big Spring Park. We're going to meet at the gazebo. This protest is being endorsed by a lot of local groups like Indivisible 5th District Alabama, North Alabama DSA, PSL Birmingham, and we're going to have some different speakers who are going to speak at the rally at the start of the protest. Some of them are going to talk about what's going on in Gaza, informing people. Some of them are going to talk about why we should do something, why we need to make change, why we can't be silent. And some are going to talk about ways that you can get involved in your local community, in addition to just calling your representatives. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to march to City Hall, and then we're going to march along some of those businesses in that area to get more visibility, because it should be a Sunday. There's going to be a lot of people there. And when we do these protests, we're doing it to make ourselves heard. We're doing it to show people, hey, this is happening and we all need to stand up. It's where we bring our voices together in public, calling for an end to the United States complicity in the genocide, demanding that our tax dollars no longer go to funding that genocide, and demanding freedom for the Palestinians. And this is only sorry, I cut you off there.
No, go ahead.
So this is only the centerpiece of our whole week of action. So Sunday, October 5th is the protest, but we're going to have 5 different events in the entire week. The first one on Friday, October 3rd, is actually going to be a film screening and a poster making. So we're going to be screening the film, the documentary Gaza Fights for Freedom, which is centered around the 2018 Great March of Return. This is going to be at UAH, Morin Hall 145. And the 2018 Great March of Return was a series of protests in Gaza where the Israeli military murdered hundreds of unarmed protesters from Gaza, and they injured thousands more, many of them being young children. And we chose this documentary to help people understand life in Gaza before the current genocide began. In Gaza, over 2.2 million people, half of them children, have lived in an open-air prison since 2007, where Israel controls all the food, medicine, fuel, and building materials that is allowed in and out. Power outages are a daily reality. Clean water is scarce. These people have lived through 5 major Israeli assaults in 15 years. Each time, Israel has targeted civilian infrastructure. Water desalination facilities are bombed. Greenhouses are bombed. Hospitals were bombed. Even before the genocide we're witnessing now, Gaza was described by the United Nations and human rights organizations as unlivable. And that film screening gives some more insight to it. And it's also a poster making event. So we're going to be providing supplies. So you should come to the film screening to watch that and make your poster for the protest that's 2 days later. Then Saturday, October 4th, we're going to have a Palestine table at the International Festival of Northern Alabama. That's at the JC Community Building here in Huntsville. We're just going to have our table showcasing Palestinian culture and history. Gaza and Palestine are more than just headlines. They're people, they're culture, they have a history, and our table will be sharing cultural items, educational resources, and space for conversation. And it's a great opportunity for people who may be curious but unsure where to start. Go enjoy the International Festival and stop by at the Palestine table, say hi, talk with us, get to know us, make that connection. Then, of course, the day after was the protest.
And then you've got some more events coming up the week following. Folks can check out the Young Palestinians of Huntsville on Instagram to see some more of those events. I'll also mention that Gaza Fights for Freedom is on Means TV, where you can also find the Valley Labor Report. You can go to means.tv, promo code TVLR, and get your first month of Means TV for free. Abby Martin, I believe, is the name of the filmmaker. It's a great documentary. I've seen it, and I recommend folks checking it out on Means TV, even if they can't go to that screening, but you should try to go to the screening. We've got about 45 seconds left here. Salam, can you tell us as we're wrapping up, why is it important to continue to speak out about what's going on in Gaza?
Well, for me personally, as a Palestinian, it's a personal issue. But just like I speak out about what's happening in Sudan and different genocides around the world, it's a humanitarian issue. And I know for some Americans that might not be enough, and we might feel uncomfortable going out and making change. But with everything happening in this country today, you need to pick some issues where you take a stand. You cannot be complicit and be silent as we see this rise of fascism, and it's extremely alarming. We need to, at a certain point, say, I'm going to stand up and say, this is not allowed. Because when people are silent, you're telling those in power, you're telling the wealthy elite, hey, you can keep doing what you're doing. I'm not going to say anything about it. And it takes time. But in all these different movements, like opposing apartheid in South Africa, civil rights in this country, nothing happens overnight. But slowly movements grow more and more as people become aware of what's happening and make conscious decisions to speak up until you hit that critical mass of people where you can make change.
Salam Lobad, president of the Young Palestinians of Huntsville. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. You have a nice day. Bye.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.